The Tale of the Blacksmith's Fire. In the scorching heart of Baghdad there lived a young man named Omar, whose hands were blessed with an impossible gift. He could forge metal that sang with inner light, weapons that never dulled, and tools that worked with supernatural precision. Yet he labored in his father's workshop, making horseshoes and kitchen knives, his extraordinary talent wasted on ordinary work. His father, Abbas, was a practical man who feared his son's strange abilities. "Stick to simple work," he would say. "Your grandfather was a blacksmith, I am a blacksmith, and you will be a blacksmith. Dreams are for fools and madmen." But Omar's heart burned like the very forge he worked at. In secret he would steal hours to create wonders, swords that could cut through stone as if it were silk, mirrors that revealed truth instead of mere reflection, and lamps that burned without oil. Each piece he made filled him with such joy that he felt he could lift mountains. One night, as he worked on a dagger whose blade seemed to contain captured starlight, a figure emerged from the shadows, a man whose eyes held the depth of eternity, and whose presence made the very air shimmer. "I am Khidr, the Green One, servant of the Most High," the figure said. "I have watched you suppress the fire within you, and it pains the very heavens." Omar fell to his knees. "Master, my father says I must be practical. My gift brings no coin, creates no security. Who am I to think I can forge miracles when I can barely feed myself?" Khidr laughed, and the sound was like wind chimes made of crystal. "Boy, do you think the Almighty gave you this gift to hide it under a bushel? Your heart calls you to create wonders, not for your own glory, but because the world needs what only you can make. But how can I know this is right? What if I fail? What if my gift is just delusion?" The Green One gestured to the dagger Omar had been working on. "Strike this anvil with that blade." Omar hesitated. "It will shatter against the iron." "Strike it." With trembling hands, Omar brought the starlight dagger down upon the massive anvil. Instead of shattering, the blade passed through the iron like a hot knife through honey, and where it touched, the metal began to sing, a pure, crystalline note that filled the workshop with harmony. "When you work with your true gift," Khidr said, "you do not break against the world's hardness, you transform it. But first, you must have the courage to swing the blade." The next morning, Omar made the most terrifying decision of his life. Despite his father's rage and the certainty of poverty, he left the family workshop. With only his tools and 3 pieces he had made in secret, he set up a tiny forge in the market's poorest corner. For months he starved. People mocked his prices, called his work sorcery, and avoided his stall. Omar's father disowned him, his friends abandoned him, and he slept on the workshop floor, feeding himself on scraps. But something astonishing began to happen. Each day he followed his heart's calling to create true works of art. His gift grew stronger. The metal seemed to bend to his will with less effort. Ideas flowed through him like divine inspiration. And slowly word spread. A merchant's daughter was healed of blindness by wearing earrings Omar forged from silver that held moonlight. A warrior's sword, crafted by Omar, never failed its wielder in battle and seemed to guide his hand toward justice. A lamp Omar made lit a scholar's study for 7 years without wick or oil, and under its light the man wrote poetry that stirred the hearts of thousands. Within 2 years, Omar's workshop had become a pilgrimage site. Sultans and sages, mystics and merchants came bearing gold to commission his works. But the most precious moment came when his father, bent with age and regret, appeared at his door. "My son," Abbas wept, "I tried to make you safe, but I nearly made you small. I see now that your gift was never yours alone. It belongs to the world. Forgive a frightened old man who almost extinguished a flame meant to light the darkness." But Omar's greatest discovery was not external success. It was the unshakable strength he felt each day. When he worked against his gift, every task had felt like pushing a boulder uphill. Now, even in the hardest moments, he felt supported by an invisible force. Problems that would have crushed him before now seemed like puzzles to solve. His confidence was not arrogance, but certainty. The certainty of a river that knows it flows toward the ocean. One evening, as Omar worked by the light of his own creations, Khidr appeared again. "Tell me, young master, do you regret your choice?" Omar smiled, his face glowing with contentment, deeper than happiness. "Master, when I worked against my heart, each day felt like a year. Now that I follow it, each year feels like a day. I understand now, the heart's calling is not just personal desire, it's the way the divine works through us." "And what would you tell someone afraid to follow their own calling?" Omar set down his hammer and spoke with the authority of one who had walked through fire. "I would tell them that the pain of following your heart is sharp but brief, while the pain of betraying it is dull but endless. That when you align with your true purpose, you don't become weaker. You become a conduit for a strength greater than your own. That the universe conspires to support those who dare to become fully themselves. But most of all," Omar continued, "I would tell them to listen, really listen, to what their heart whispers in the quiet moments. Not what they think they should want, not what others expect, but what makes their soul catch fire with recognition. That feeling is not deception, it's direction." Years passed, and Omar's creations became legend throughout the known world. But he remained in his humble workshop because he had learned the greatest secret. When you follow your heart's true calling, you don't seek power. Power flows through you. You don't chase success. Success becomes inevitable. You don't grasp at happiness. Joy becomes your natural state. And sometimes, late at night when the stars shone bright, people passing by his workshop could hear the sound of metal singing as he worked, and they knew they were witnessing the sound of a soul fully alive, creating exactly what it was born to create. Thus ends the tale of Omar the Starlight Smith, whose courage to follow his heart transformed not only his own life, but illuminated the path for countless others seeking the strength to become who they truly are.